Hey everyone, John here from Big Dreams Travel, and we're joined by Lisa. Hey Lisa, how's it going?
Hey.
And today we're going to discuss Lisa's recent trip to Disney World. Of course, we've got this
Mhm.
worldwide coronavirus pandemic going on, and so we're going to have a few different episodes with Lisa regarding her family's trip. And in this first one, we are going to talk about her experience at Disney's Art of Animation Resort. Lisa, you ready to share that with us?
I'm ready. Yeah.
So stay tuned right after this to hear about Art of Animation and Lisa's experience at Disney World during COVID. Welcome back, everyone. Make sure you like the video, hit the subscribe button down underneath us, and we'll continue to do some of this travel content and bring it to you and talk about our trips that we've got coming. That's what we're going to do here today is visit with Lisa about her family's recent trip. And Lisa, you guys went to Disney World and stayed at Art of Animation. So in this video here, we're going to kind of talk about your stay there and all of the other
Yeah.
things that you did, as far as traveling to and from. So first of all, kind of give us a background on your trip, when you went, and
Okay.
those types of things.
All right. We went the first week of December. So we left the Tuesday following Thanksgiving and we were there. It was a short trip. We were just there for 4 days. So we were there from Tuesday through Saturday, the first week of December. And it was absolutely great. Weather was perfect. I mean, it couldn't have been any better. The crowds were very reasonable. So it was a great week to go.
And you guys travel, how many people are with you?
We have a family of six. So we've got my husband and myself, and then our four kiddos. And
Okay.
our three sons are pretty much grown men. They're
Right.
22, 20, and 16. So they're giant people.
Uh-huh.
And then our daughter. So,
Awesome. So this is, really a good resource here for people traveling that have maybe larger families. Obviously
right,
you've got too many people to stay in what we would call maybe a standard hotel room, and so
right.
I'm sure that's
Yes,
what led you to Art of Animation.
absolutely.
How'd you get down there? How was the travel process
Okay.
with COVID?
Um, we flew, and it was an excellent experience. Of course, flying out of Oklahoma City, our airport is not super busy anyway. But check-in through TSA was great. It was very easy. I will say, if you're flying out of Oklahoma City early in the morning, there's nothing open for breakfast. Sonic isn't open, nothing's open. And so all you could get was a cup of coffee, literally. And so I told my kids, it's like, let's get through TSA and we'll go get breakfast. There was no getting breakfast. So they were a little getting cranky right off the bat.
Uh-huh.
So Oklahoma City right now, I think it's part pandemic and part just construction, upgrading. So, but there's nothing open early in the morning other than coffee and water. So just note that. Um, so
And I'm sure a lot of airports are the same,
yeah,
right now between, like you said, pandemic and just travel. The number of people traveling is down. So it
right,
probably doesn't
right.
make as much sense for them to have a lot of stuff open.
Yeah. So we had great flights. We this time we did not use the Disney's Magical Express because since we were on such a tight schedule, we wanted to head straight to a park. And so I hired Park Avenue Limo, who is a company that I like to use when clients want a driver instead of the Magical Express. And so Charlie, he's a great guy. He's the owner of the company. And he texted me. I got a text when we were on our layover, and he said, I'm sending a limo for you. So he upgraded us from an SUV to a limo. And we walked, and I hadn't told my family. So we walked outside, and there's our driver with the limo, and they just thought it was the greatest thing ever. So we took a limo to took to Art of Animation. We dropped our luggage at Art of Animation, then we
Uh-huh.
head straight to the park. So it saved us a lot of time, and we were
Right.
able to we were there in less than an hour. I mean, it was incredible.
And
So
for those people that don't know, Lisa, I put a video on the channel maybe a couple of weeks ago, right after the announcement. Magical Express is going away here at the end of this
yeah,
year. So
right. So Charlie's business will probably grow quite a bit.
something like that is going to become the norm for many
Yeah,
of us that want to transport,
right,
whether it's something like that or the other options that are going to be available. But
right.
we've got that other video on our channel if you're interested about what's happening to Magical Express. So,
Right.
so you headed straight to the park, um,
Right.
but then you came back to Art of Animation,
Yes.
so tell us. And Disney has obviously added a lot of features in terms of using their app, the online check-in that you do
Right.
prior to your to actually getting to the resort, and you can really do that, months in
Right.
advance, is get your online
Yep.
check-in ready. How was the check-in process that you experienced? Probably most of it done virtually now.
Yeah, it was totally easy. There was, I mean, we didn't have an issue when we got back from the park, or we got a text actually while we were at the park that our room was ready. And so by the time we got home, our luggage, everything was in there because we had left it with Bell Services, and they had put it in there once our room got ready for us, which was a surprise because I didn't think they were doing that during COVID, but apparently they
Right.
are. So that was cool. But we used the app to unlock our door, and then we also had our magic band, so
Mhm.
both of them worked, and I tested them just to see. And it was great. I mean, we never had to stop by the front desk for anything. Um, so it was really easy.
Awesome. So at Art of Animation, you've got the family suite style rooms. You can
Right.
have, and really, this is one of the few places at Disney you can actually book a pretty specific room type in terms of the theme of the room, whether it's
Right.
Finding Nemo, Lion King, or Cars.
Right.
Or the standard hotel rooms there are Little Mermaid themed. But which of those three family suites were you guys in?
Well, we stayed in the Cars family suite.
Okay.
That was one of our sons. Lightning McQueen was his guy from the time he's been little. So we opted for the Cars. The Finding Nemo suites are your preferred location. They're
Right.
right there next to the main pool and closer to the food court and the bus stops. But we opted for the Cars, and it's not that much further away, because we just wanted to stay there because Hayden loved Lightning so much, and the theming is just incredible. It's really just it's incredible.
Yeah, Lisa,
So
we've stayed across the lake at Pop Century before,
right.
but always we've been over to Art of Animation to walk around, and the cars section I think is certainly my favorite.
Yes.
Just all the things they have outside for you to
Right.
kind of experience like you're right there in the movie.
Yes.
It's certainly of those three areas, it's really well themed.
It is. It's awesome. And the room was really nice too. So
Okay, and so that was kind of what I was curious. You guys, like you said earlier, you're a family of six.
right.
Um, Pretty much five adults, in terms of the space that
Yes.
you guys are going to take up. How did the room handle that? And what is the bed situation in those family suites? Obviously, you've got the king bed
Right.
in the main bedroom, but what
Right.
is the bed situation for everybody else?
So there's the pull-out sofa, and it's a double, and then you've
Okay.
got your table bed, which is like a Murphy bed.
Uh-huh.
It's a table when it's not a bed, and it's a double. So they slept well. I slept well. I was wondering how well I would rest on a table bed mattress,
Uh-huh.
but I slept like a dream. Um, being the double size mattresses, like our older two boys had the couch, and I mean, they were squished,
Okay.
you know. My husband and other son, they had the bedroom, and then my daughter and I slept on the table, or the table bed. And, everybody slept well. The oldest two who were on the couch, they were probably squishy, but they're pretty giant. So, but having two bathrooms, that was amazing. So you've got
Uh-huh.
that huge, full, incredibly large bathroom in the bedroom, um, incredible shower, giant vanity, a lot of room, and then your standard hotel size bathroom in the rest of, in the other side of um, the room.
Right.
So having the two bathrooms was probably even better than everything else, just because someone was showering, another person was getting ready, or if two people are needing to go to the bathroom, whatever, it was great.
Okay.
So it was great.
So, as agents, we work with people going down all the time. And I know, families of six they're
Right.
pretty limited in where they can stay. And so this certainly gives you a nice option
Right.
without having to go to, say, a deluxe
Yes.
resort where you would have to go to a 2 bedroom, in
Right.
most cases at a deluxe villa resort. And so this gives you an option for that that's certainly good for families, in that 5 or 6
Right.
range. Um, it's probably going to be, really a great option, maybe if your kids are smaller. But
Right.
obviously you guys made it work, and
No, it
everybody,
was great.
um,
And
every,
one thing I did take note of is there's not a lot of storage in the suite. And so if we were going to be there for like a week-long vacation, it would be absolutely mandatory to unpack and move your stuff into the drawers
Mhm.
because there's no space for luggage. And so that I booked a couple of clients there within this last month, and I just let them know, I was like, just as you prepare for your trip, there's no storage, and the bed in the bedroom is raised, so you can put all of your suitcases under that bed and out of the way,
Right.
as long as you unpack your clothes and belongings into the drawers. And there are plenty of those, but it's like trying to live out a suitcase. There's not a place to keep all the suitcases, so we were kind of stepping, and we were there again for a really quick trip, so we didn't really
Sure.
have time to move in or whatever. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind, is have a plan and just go in with an idea of how you're going to store your things, because if you can't leave the bed unfolded from the wall, because if you
Right.
do, you've got 4 chairs with nowhere to put them
Mhm.
and nowhere to walk, so you've got to fold that bed up every morning. We kept the sofa bed out pretty much all week because that wasn't a big deal, but the table bed, because it's kind of in the entry area, you've got to put it up every morning.
Sure.
So but the
You-
kitchenette was fantastic. We made an Instacart order for groceries, and we had some soda and water and tea in there for us when we got home from the parks, and
mhm.
breakfast foods that we could grab and go. So the kitchenette was fantastic,
Awesome.
um, and just
Yeah.
really helped not have to worry about where we are going to grab breakfast
Sure.
from, or
Sure.
when we got home from the parks there were snacks available and that kind of thing. So
Sure. That all sounds good. And nowadays in Disney, you've got to learn how to deal with those table beds, because they're
yeah.
starting to put about every room they renovate. It seems they're
Yep.
putting those in. Of course, Pop Century has gotten the big renovation with those.
Right.
I think the All Stars are going to go through a renovation. I would assume we see those over there. I know some of the DVC rooms, the deluxe villa resorts, have gotten those. So the
Right.
table beds are they're coming. And I think those
They're
mattresses are the
so
mattresses are probably a lot more comfortable, I've heard,
right.
than the pull-out mattresses.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
well, talk to us a little bit about. I know there's a couple different pool options at Art of Animation. You said the main one is the Finding Nemo pool.
Right.
I know you guys were there in December. The
Yes.
pools are heated. Um,
Right.
some. What did you guys experience those at all?
We did not get in the pools. We were just so busy this time. Usually
Right.
we are big resort pool people. We always take time, at least a day or two, to enjoy the pools and relax. This time we were kind of on a mission. We didn't have a lot of time because of the kids' school schedules, and we just zipped down there and came home. And so we didn't have time to enjoy them. But the Cars pool is the Wheel Well pool, and it's
Mhm.
so cute. And um, they have these little cabanas that are shaped like a cozy cone, and they're just so cute. And even my husband's like, we need to come back when we can stay and take advantage of hanging out in the cone cabanas.
Uh-huh.
um, but again, the theming is so great. And the big blue pool, the main pool, is giant, and it has a
Mhm.
splash pad area, and it's zero entry, and it plays underwater music. And that's where they have poolside games like cornhole and tic-tac-toe and things that the kids can do if they don't want to actually be in the water. And then there's the drop off, which is the poolside bar for the parents to hang out and enjoy a
Uh-huh.
beverage while their kids play. And that's where they do their movies under the stars um, in the warmer months. I don't think they were doing it right now, but they have
Yeah,
a
I think I've heard those are happening at some resorts. I think they're pretty
right.
limited. They're
Yeah.
I know normal years, those happen about every night most places,
Yeah.
but I think pretty limited.
So
Um,
it's a great little place.
I think the pools there, and we've never stayed at the resort but walked by. It really seems to me kind of as a they're plussed a little bit from what a value resort pool typically
Right.
is, with the splash pad and all.
Right.
Not quite, they don't have the water slides and things that you
Right.
would see at a moderate resort. but definitely plussed a little bit from what you would.
Their theming, right?
Sure.
They've just got that added theming that you don't see at just the standard
Sure.
value resort
And of
pool.
course, it's the newest, value type resort that Disney has, and so that plays into that. So let's get into maybe kind of the last thing about the resort there that everybody, you always want to talk about is the food.
Food,
Obviously, with COVID, things are very much
right?
different than normal. You have to order on your app
Right.
uh, before you get to the restaurant, and you can't. They won't even let you in. Probably, I don't think, until it shows you that your order is ready.
Right.
So, did you guys eat at the resort? I know you were on a short trip and
We
on
were.
the go a lot, but how was that for you?
Well, we did not ever have a meal at the resort, but it was kind of frustrating because I just wanted some coffee. Like we would get home from the park and I would want to zip through and grab a cup of coffee. Even though we have coffee makers in the room and plenty of coffee, I just wanted to grab a cup of coffee. And it was a hassle. At first she wasn't going to let me. And I'm like, can I just please get a cup of coffee? I don't want to mobile order a cup of coffee. So they had one cash register open that was taking walk up orders for drinks. And so I went over there and I got a cup of coffee, but you can't self-serve anymore
Mhm.
because of Corona. And so they make you a cup and they hand it to you. So I couldn't go back and get a refill. I mean, I could have, but I have to hand her the cup and she fills it with a new cup and then hands
Uh-huh.
it back to me.
Mhm.
And so one night I tried to go get coffee and they just wouldn't let me. And that was annoying. And then the third night they were closed. We got home and they had closed at 10. And I was like, this is crazy. So that was definitely different because food courts never close at 10.
Right.
And so it was just weird. But on the refill mugs that we're used to getting when we purchase a dining plan, those are still available.
Okay.
We did not purchase any because we have like 27,000 of them, but you can't physically refill them.
Sure.
Again, you take your cup and the cast member who is working there will fill you up a paper cup of soda or coffee or whatever you want and then hand it to you.
Okay.
So it's just more cumbersome and time involved. And so the refill mugs they didn't work for us
Sure.
this trip. So,
And I think the whole food experience, the hours, like you said, it's just something to be aware of. If you're going
right,
during this situation, hours are going to be cut back.
right.
The experience is going to be different. I think the menus are trimmed down,
Very small. Yep.
quite a bit, especially those food courts. I've heard the menus are trimmed down quite a bit from what
Yes.
they normally are. So just again, something to be aware of on the food
Right.
and things like that. So we've kind of covered a lot of the things about the resort. Maybe the last thing I would want to hear about is how is the transportation for you guys? That kind of falls under maybe
Okay.
as we talk about resorts. Of course, we've got the whole new. This was your family's first time, I think, being there since the Skyliners
Yes.
been an option. Of course, the station there between Art of Animation and Pop Century
Right.
that can get you to Epcot
Mhm.
or Hollywood Studios. So, how was the
Absolutely.
transportation for you guys?
Well, we didn't have a problem. It was absolutely wonderful. We did not ride the Skyliner to Hollywood Studios in the morning just because we wanted to get there early. And the Skyliner does not start running as early as the buses do.
Uh-huh.
And so we opted for the bus to Hollywood because we wanted to get there early to get, sometimes they're opening the parks a little bit early. So we wanted to be there early in case the rides were open so we could hop on. And so we opted for a bus ride. We got in line an hour early and we were like the fourth people in line. So we made sure we got on that very first bus. And we did take the Skyliner to Epcot on our Epcot day, and that was perfect. I mean, we walked, it's not far from the Cars building, and we walked over there, and I don't even think there was a line for
Mhm.
Art of Animation.
Right.
And there was a line, a really long line for Pop Century. And so here's the thing with Pop Century, they don't have buses to Epcot and Hollywood Studios. They only have the Skyliner. And Art of Animation has both still. So guests at Pop Century kind of have preferential boarding to the Skyliner. And so they might take 3 or 4 Pop Century families to every one or so Art of Animation families. Now we didn't run into that because there was no one in line at Art of Animation. It was just us. So we pretty much walked right on. But the line over at Pop Century was very long. Um, so, but once we got on, I mean, we got on and then we had to transfer at Caribbean Beach, but it was fantastic. We love the Skyliner.
Yep, Lisa, we've got a trip this summer, so I've been kind of paying attention to the Skyliner. We're staying just a few nights at Pop Century at the beginning of our trip before moving to another resort. One of the reasons why is we want to kind of experience the Skyliner a little
Yeah,
bit,
it's great.
and I've kind of run across that Pop Century does not have the buses
Right.
anymore, but Art of Animation does. So that's an interesting thing going
Yeah,
on. Probably going to change before we get there this summer,
who knows?
in some way with the way things
Yeah,
are going. So we just encourage everybody to check with your resort
right.
as you're
And they have
there,
signs posted to
and
let you know
to
the
make sure,
ride times and um, what's being offered
right,
day to day. So
right. So and you took buses to the other parks, everything
yes,
to Magic Kingdom
uh-huh,
and Animal Kingdom,
right.
and so everything.
And it was so, I mean, we weren't waiting for hours on buses. It was really, really smooth.
Yeah. And
The
that,
buses now, there's plexiglass dividers. I kind of felt sorry for the bus drivers because their job has gotten much more involved
mhm,
because there's plexiglass dividers. Each bus is configured a little differently. And
sure,
so now the bus driver has to get up and say how many's in your party. And then he assigns you, to section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or,
right.
and so, bless their hearts, some of them are like, well, let's see, why don't y'all go to section 5? And so it takes a little while longer to board the buses because
Uh-huh.
they're trying to fit these puzzle pieces
Yep.
of family groups, and there's no standing and crowding the middle and holding the straps. It's all assigned seating. And, you know, there were times where people were getting a little irritated with the drivers, but you could see they're just trying really hard to do their job
Sure.
because Disney is very strict on all their protocol. And but even with that, it was very smooth. I was really surprised, especially staying at a value sometimes because there's so many people at the value resorts. I just figured we were going to be spending a lot of time
Mhm.
waiting for transportation, and we didn't. It was really, really smooth. So
So just for Art of Animation as a whole, any other thoughts related to COVID and how the resort was being run? I think we've hit on the food obviously and the
yeah,
transportation, and I think Disney has said they've kind of given some insight into how they're cleaning the rooms and those types of
right.
things. But anything else you can think of COVID wise that people maybe should be aware of?
Well, for those of us who go often, it was noticeably different. There were very few cast members running the front desk,
Right.
and the gift shop closed early again. I came home one night to grab a souvenir before we left, and I got home and the gift shop was closed. I was
Right.
like, no. um, and housekeeping is every other day,
Okay.
and you can opt out completely. And we didn't opt out necessarily, but we just kept our do not disturb because, like I said, we were rushing around crazy. I think we went and just picked up clean towels from them at one point.
Uh-huh.
But they're only coming in every other day to do your basic cleaning and your trash service. And if you get to where you have too much trash, you can tie it and bag it and put it outside the door and they'll come get it, or just call them and they'll come get it. Um, but really that was it. There were just fewer cast members there,
Hmm.
and there wasn't as much hustle and bustle. It was very
Right.
quiet,
Right.
very quiet. And then the food court was weird, but other than that, I mean,
Sure.
it was good.
Well, awesome. It sounds like you guys really enjoyed Art of Animation. Certainly,
Good.
for families, again, like we said earlier, of 5 or 6 that need a larger room, this is certainly that value resort type option that you get. So we're going to come back in another episode. We're going to look at Lisa's experience, the rest of her trip in the theme parks, and so I think maybe the next episode we do, Lisa, you're going to tell us about your family's first time into Star Wars Galaxy's
Yeah.
Edge,
Okay.
and your time at Hollywood Studios. I'm looking forward to that one. So have a great day, everyone, and keep dreaming of future travels. We'll see you next time.